Welcome to Crazy Chris's Conspiracy Corner. On this channel, we delve into conspiracies and try to find the truth. I don't do this for fame or money, so I'll never open a Patreon or ask for donations. All I ask is, if you like the content, share it. This will always be about getting to the truth, not money. In this first video, we will be looking into the Apollo 11 moon landing, and whether or not there is any evidence to back up whether it actually happened according to the official story. This is one of the sacred cows of the conspiracy world, so I thought it'd be a great place to start.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
This story begins at the end of World War II. As Russia and the USA began the arms race, it quickly shifted into a space race. The Russians were, at least in appearance, way ahead of the Americans. They were the first to get the satellite into orbit, first to send a living creature into space, first to send a human into space. After World War II, using the now declassified Project Paperclip, USA brought German scientists to the USA to assist us in many facets of science. One of the scientists was Wernher von Braun. He invented the V-2 rocket that ravaged England during the war. He was put in charge of NASA. He invented the Saturn rocket that would allegedly go to the moon and back. About 3 weeks before the Apollo 11 mission, the Russians had launched a manned rocket to the moon. If they had successfully landed on the moon and not crashed into it, they would have won the space race. So there was definitely a motive to get men on the moon as soon as possible. On July 16, 1969, Apollo 11 was launched, with 3 astronauts, Neil Armstrong, Michael Collins, and Buzz Aldrin, to the moon. It was a 4-day flight to the moon, all on a computer with less processing power than the original Nintendo Game Boy. Once in orbit off the moon, Neil and Buzz moved to the lunar module and disconnected from the Saturn rocket. It took them quite a while to find a suitable area to land. This was dangerous because they only had so much fuel and needed enough to launch back into space to meet up with the Saturn rocket again to return to Earth. They ended up landing in the Sea of Tranquility. Once they landed, Neil exited the lunar module first and was the first to set foot on the moon. Once the ceremonial flag was planted, Neil and Buzz collected some samples, did a mild amount of exploring not too far from the lunar module. All of this was live broadcasting back to Earth. Millions, if not billions, watched as what was arguably the greatest achievement of all mankind to date. A few hours later, they would return to the lunar module and launch to meet up with the Saturn rocket containing Michael Collins. They were able to land successfully back on Earth. This is where the story gets muddy. Shortly after returning, they would hold a press conference.
They hope to accomplish.
I have 2 brief questions I'd like to ask, if I may. When you were carrying out that incredible moonwalk, did you find that the surface was equally firm anywhere, or were there harder and softer spots that you could detect? And secondly, when you looked up at the sky, could you actually see the stars and the solar corona in spite of the glare?
We were never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon by eye without looking through the optics. I don't recall during the period of time that we were photographing the solar corona what stars we could see.
I don't remember seeing any.
Neil, you were a little bit concerned, you said, about stubbing your toe.
I don't remember seeing any.
Neil, you were a little bit concerned, you said, about...
I don't remember seeing any. I don't remember seeing any.
Neil, you were a little bit concerned, you said, about...
I don't remember seeing any.
As you can see, they were not all on the same page. Michael Collins clearly states, "I don't remember seeing any." To the question, were you able to see stars on the moon's surface? You can see Neil's reaction to this. Michael Collins was never on the moon's surface. He later recanted this and said he had seen the stars from the Saturn rocket. After this, there were about 6 more Apollo missions. None of the 11 astronauts ever went back to space. Fast forward about 20 years, and we've begun the search for the lost Apollo telemetry tapes. Now, I know you would think this is a couple cassettes in a drawer somewhere, but you would be wrong. These were big reel-to-reel tapes like you would imagine movie projectors using. Also, there would be hundreds of them, all labeled Apollo 11. So I've heard 2 explanations. 1, they just lost them. They're gone. 2, they taped over them. Either of these is ridiculous given the gravity of this mission. But don't take my word for it. Let's ask someone who should
It was
know.
all recorded on these telemetry tapes. So where is this hard evidence?
I haven't seen anything that indicates the telemetry data is even in existence, and as I said, even if we had it, we don't have the machines to play it back.
But your own research has shown the telemetry data is missing.
That's right.
Could this be true? Mankind's first interplanetary exploration and the original science data is missing?
11, this is Houston, radio check, over.
If it's anywhere, it should be here at NASA's Goddard Space Center in Maryland, home to the National Space Science Data Archives.
This film you're making now, what is it? Does it have a name? I mean, do you have a name for it yet, or you?
Calling it Did We Go?
Did we go? Okay.
Doesn't have it either. The Smithsonian doesn't have it. Johnson doesn't have it.
Right. We've been unable to track it down. I mean, we don't know where this telemetry data ended up, and we don't know what path it may have taken. So, unfortunately, I'm afraid I can't really give you much of a clue as to where this data ended up and whether it still exists or not.
NASA admitted that it had lost the original footage of man's first steps on the moon. My next guest, Aaron Rainin, started out believing the official version of history. Tell us why you have changed your mind and now become a skeptic.
I was the first to report, and you played the clip earlier tonight, that all the science data, the telemetry data, was missing. Now, Geraldo, for NASA to come out and say that all the tapes were erased, I mean, it's incredible. Geraldo, this isn't just one tape. This is reams of tape labeled Apollo 11 moon landing. Someone had to physically go and erase it. And it just, I really, in my heart, Geraldo, I want us to go. And I know all your viewers want us to go.
We're also joined in L.A. by Bill Nye, the science guy. Bill, Aaron's right about erasing these tapes. I mean...
No, okay, it's my turn, kids. Okay? So, what happened, these were NASA tapes, and I got lost. Stuff happens.
Okay. It's very challenging to try to prove we landed on the moon, and it shouldn't be challenging. The tape should be there. There should be plenty of evidence.
I said, hey, Buzz, could you be on the show tonight? And he's like, in the hospital, can't talk long. I asked him, did you walk on the moon? And he said, yeah. He said, yeah, I have. So I'm going to trust Buzz.
Well,
I could trust you.
Well, I mean, let's say you trusted your television set, really, didn't you? That's how most of us believed it.
No. I got it from Buzz.
Yeah, well,
I got it from Buzz.
I mean, for instance, let's think about what you believe on TV. I'm actually nowhere near this bridge. I mean, Glenn, to me, it's incredible that we can keep track of Egyptian pots from 2,000 years ago, but we lose tapes made only 40 years ago.
Well, wait a minute. There is a very good explanation.
Well, I'm just an expert on the moon landing, and what I can say, and I know you have a tape there, is I tracked down Gene Kranz, who's the flight director of Apollo 11. He admitted to me the tapes are missing.
All right, go ahead. Play Gene Kranz, please.
I haven't seen anything that indicates the telemetry data is even in existence, and as I said, even if we had it, we don't have the machines to play it back.
But your own research has shown the telemetry data is missing.
That's right.
Now, since we've gone to the moon several times successfully, you would think it'd be economically and militarily necessary to keep going, even building bases there, right? No. In fact, with the exception of recent Chinese Dark Side of the Moon rover, not even one country has gone back to claim any part of the moon. There's no bases, nothing. And if you ask NASA why, you get some strange responses.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
So we destroyed the technology to go back to the moon, and it's too costly to rebuild? We give $58.9 million a day to NASA, and we have not launched anything into space in almost 8 years. But you know what? Maybe Buzz Aldrin can give us an answer.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know, but I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's nice to know why it didn't happen, so in the future, if we want to keep doing something, we need to know why something stopped in the past that we wanted to keep it going. Money.
In case you missed it, he said we didn't go. He seems very flustered by the question, in my opinion, as well. What about Neil? He has given very few interviews since the moon landing and has seemed to try to stay out of the public eye. I'll play you a clip of one of the last interviews he gave, which seemed to give some veiled clues into space travel.
During the space age, we have increased the knowledge of our universe 1,000-fold. Today we have with us a group of students among America's best. To you, we say, we have only completed a beginning. We leave you much that is undone. There are great ideas undiscovered, breakthroughs available to those who can remove one of truth's protective layers. There are places to go beyond belief. Those challenges are yours. In many fields, not the least of which is space, because there lies human destiny.
Now we could go into detail about the photos of the flag rippling on the surface where there is supposedly no atmosphere, the fact that live broadcasting from the moon to the Earth at that time would be a monumental achievement, the many lighting inconsistencies in the moon photos, or how the astronauts never seem to jump more than 18 inches in 1/6 gravity of the Earth. But I don't think we have to. It's pretty clear something other than the official story happened. And the USA had plenty of motive to make it happen, real or not. Not only did they have the space race, but the American people needed an event like this. With the assassination of JFK, the Vietnam War, and the hippie movement in full swing, this event could be just the thing to bring the American people together in their crowning achievement. What do you think? Personally, I think there's something wrong with the official story. If we did go to the moon, it was not during the Apollo 11 mission. There was so much on the line, and USA had to get there first, or at least appear they did. Thank you for watching. If you like this video and you want to see more, share it.